My mini BR map, Wotts Royale, has been around for over 2 years now, and today I'm going to be giving a tour of the latest season. If you happen to enjoy this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe, and using code WOTTS to for an item shop. Let's get straight into the video. Alright, so our first POI is Lake Fungi, and this POI has been around since Chapter 2 Season 1, which is a little while now. It's actually coming up on a year at this point, which is kind of crazy. But this POI has received some changes from last season. Obviously you can tell. A lot more jungly now, considering the theme of the season. And yeah, other than the trees, nothing else has really changed. So yeah, that's about it. Alright, so our next POI is Neon Cat Gas. Nothing has really changed from last season outside of this car being here. And the surrounding area just being more jungly, as you can see. Seems to be a recurring theme, you know, given the actual theme of the season, you know. But yeah, other than that, nothing really changed here either. We also have our first landmark of the video being the Sniper Outpost, which was introduced in Chapter 2 Season 1 during a sniper-themed Wild Week. You know, it was a nice little addition in you know, it was cool. It was a neat little addition, you know? Nothing else really to say about it. Our next landmark is the Mushroom Farm. Now this has also received a little bit of a change. All the slurp plants that were here previously have been replaced by slurp mushrooms. This was just to free up a little bit of storage, considering there were some pretty big changes on the map this season, but otherwise this POI remains unchanged. Alright, our next landmark is Holly Home, a Christmas themed area, and was obviously added during the Christmas time, which was Chapter 2 Season 3. And yeah, you know, it's a solid POI. You know, you got two little chests around here. Other than that though, there's nothing really going on here. That's too crazy. Another landmark we have over here is Chaos's Abandoned Abode. Now this is an important storyline location. I explain this every season, but this is the home of Chaos, who was the Chapter 1 main character, and I brought it over to the Chapter 2 island, but it's abandoned because Centurion, the main antagonist of Chapter 1, killed Chaos during the Chapter 1 finale event. So this is abandoned now, but it got carried over to the Chapter 2 map, which may or may not be important later during the chapter. Who really knows? Alright, our next named POI is Snowy Station. So Snowy Station is a fairly small POI, and it's got this main train station area, which is sort of like a waiting area, you know, for your stop. You got some big old TVs up here. Got a little reference to Chapter 1 of Wotts Royale over here. You know, it's pretty neat, Come around here, we have our capture point, and then we also have our train stops, you know? So this is where people would like depart the trains, and fun fact, this middle train over here used to be functional, but it got removed due to just being kind of finicky, and, you know, taking up a bunch of storage with, like, all the prop movers and stuff, so I ended up removing it for that reason. You obviously can get inside these trains, though, so, you know, you hop in here, and then, yeah, it's pretty cool. We also have a pit stop, which was where the first train would take you, and then you would come around over here to this train, and this train would go all the way over to next destination. Same kind of vibe, you know, and then you would come around over here, and then this train over here would take you to final stop, which is all the way down here, and then you'd be at your final stop, which we're gonna get into right now. This is Wonder Workshop. This is a pretty obviously themed around Christmas POI. We have our main building up here being the factory itself. You know, you can't have like a workshop area without like the workshop, you know. And this is where the things get done. This is where the presents are like sent out to be delivered. This is like a demonstration. This is where the elves go on break because this is Christmas, and this is like Santa's workshop kind of area, you know. Everything's even smaller for the elves, which is pretty cool. And then all the presents get sent into the back of this truck, and then they get delivered to, you know, people who get Christmas presents, you know. Then we come around here, we have possibly the most charming building in this area. This is what I call Santa's home. You know, you got like the nice little couch with the TV. You got some, you know, game chairs, I guess, rocking chairs. I don't really know. Then we come up here, and with a little bit of parkour, we can get to the bedroom, which, you know, doesn't make sense on the surface, but given Fortnite Santa is kind of ripped, you know, it makes sense. Then you come over here, we got like the hay bale area, and then we got the clock tower over there, and then we got some stables over here. You know, got some reindeer stables, you know, pretty cool. Same thing over in this area. And then over here is the elves' sleeping quarters. This is where all the elves go to sleep. You know, got some small bed, and yeah, you can just keep going up. And once you get up to the top, you know, it's nothing crazy, but you do get a high ground advantage over other people, so you know, that's pretty nice. Now we have the classic cabin, and this is just like your classic little wooden cabin, you know, kind of fits with like the whole Christmas vibe, you know, just a nice and cozy area. You know, it's pretty nice. I like it. It's pretty cool. One of my favorite landmarks. And now we are getting into Carol Community. I would say it was the second biggest POI on... I'll say this is probably the second biggest POI on the map. There's like 2 sizable POIs. This is probably like in like the very big category, and then we have like one like that's just like above like everything else. We'll get to it at the end. But this and another POI we'll get to known as Slappy Site, I'd say are probably like fairly similarly sized. They are both pretty big POIs. They are kind of like the main attractions of the seasons they were introduced in, I'd say. I think this is definitely like the main Chapter 2 Season 3 POI, in my opinion. It's like smack dab in the center of the snow biome, you know? So, you know, it makes sense, you know? But, yeah, a lot of houses, you know, you got like this kind of aesthetic with like all these cool little like cozy homes, you know? Got one of these like shop buildings, you know, and then you come in here, you got like a nice little home area for the owners, you know, like one of those, like, I don't know what you'd call them, but like they're like shop slash homes, you know, you kind of get the vibe. And then over here we have possibly the biggest building in the entire POI. This is kind of like a nice little like celebration cookout area. You know, you got a bunch of food like areas, got a bunch of vending machines, Christmas tree for the spirit, you know, and a bunch of like wooden tables, you know, like sit at, you know. What we have over here is possibly what I would call my favorite landmark on the entire map. This is Derailed, and the backstory behind this POI is actually pretty interesting. So basically, the train system was gonna be a lot more like fleshed out originally, but I couldn't really get it to work out because of the prop mover being kind of janky. So it was really gonna go from Snowy Station all the way past the Wonder Workshop to over here. But I couldn't get the prop mover to really work, and there wasn't really a good area down there because they've already built on the train, and I didn't want to move it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to limit the train to over there. But I didn't want to remove this area because they already built it, and I didn't really know what else to put here. So I turned this into like a crashed train, and like this is like a big old mountain stopping this train from going anywhere further, you know? And yeah, I just thought it was a neat little idea, you know? And yeah, just got the most backstory of any other, like, unnamed POI. So our next named POI is Righteous Rink. And, you know, I think you can get the idea. This is a ice rink. So you go in here, you know, you got your nice little ice rink. Got, like, your DJ set up. That is very loud ice. Then you got, like, your Llamatron, which you can turn on and, you know, it starts playing this. But I'm going to turn that off because I don't want to hear it, you know, blasting throughout the entire, like, section of this video. But, yeah. You know, it's a ice rink. There's nothing else to it. I just think it's a pretty cool area, and it's pretty nice having to fight, like, over here for the capture point. It's pretty neat. Now, if we come down here, this might be a bit nostalgic for Wotts Royale OG enthusiasts. This is the Righteous Rafts building. Now, Righteous Rafts was originally a Chapter 1 POI, Chapter 1 named POI specifically. But in Chapter 2, it returned as a landmark, because I didn't think it was big enough to really warrant being a full named POI, but I still wanted to bring it back. So I brought it back, you know. This wasn't originally here, it was just this. Because that's what it was in the original Wotts Royale map. But, you know, that probably needed to change because it's a bit outdated. Also, these roofs were made out of, like, the Viking pieces instead of, like, these wood pieces. Which, looking back, wasn't the best decision, but, you know, whatever. You know, it was like 2021 when I was making that. Okay, it's 2024 now, we can get over it. But yeah, we also have a bunch of these rafts out here, which might be making some changes in the future. I don't know. These rafts are kind of weird because they're kind of awkward to build on because they're building pieces, but they're not at the same time, you know? But yeah, you know, who knows? Who really knows? Alright, our next named POI is the Outlands. This is our final snowbound POI, and the whole idea behind this POI was, what if there was an entire named POI based on, you know, player-built structures? So that's what I did. You know, I wanted to do it. I already had a player-built landmark, like, underneath this, so I thought, why not expand it? And that's exactly what I did, you know? Got these unique dynamic buildings that are, like, completely made of player-built structures. You know, you come up here, you know, this is pretty unconventional, but it's given the gimmick, I thought it was pretty unique. And then, yeah, you just come around, you know, there are some basements in some of these areas. Like if I come over here, go down in this area, and there's a basement you can fight in. If we go over to the main building, we can see that we can come down here. And it's kind of like a dungeon area, you know, because this is kind of more like a castle, I guess, sort of, not really, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You can come up to the top of this building, and up until recently, as you can see over there, which we'll get to in a little while, this used to be the highest point on the map that you could get to, except for like over there because there were some mountains, but those have been replaced by some other stuff. But this was like the actual like highest POI on the map, and yeah, it's not anymore, but it might again be the highest POI soon. Who knows? Oops, I accidentally fell. That's crazy. It's also quite ironic that the highest POI on the map also happens to be one of the lowest, considering that the Outlands has a lower part, which used to be a landmark. This part was introduced prior to the main part of the POI being added, and yeah, it just served as like a space filler, because I thought this would be a cool idea, and I did it, you know? Nothing special about it, you know, it's kind of got the same idea as the Outlands, you know? Nothing too crazy. Alright, we have our next named POI being Chug Central. This POI was introduced during Chapter 2, Season 2. So, you know, the whole theme of that season was basically slap versus slurp. So this is obviously a slurp themed POI, given all the slurp signs around. And this isn't actually what it originally looked like. Chapter 2 Season 2 had it looking more like the Slurpy Swamp Factory, like the bright colors. There's like prismarine colored floors as ceilings. But I decided to give it a more modern aesthetic and, you know, update it a little bit, you know. This was originally just all like this piece, but I decided, you know, change it up a little bit. Got a nice little like centerpiece that leads up to this big old slurp sign, which is kind of like a statement of the past, because they used to be like kind of themed around that, but now they're themed around this, you know. It's like sort of like a symbol of evolution, you know. We also have another landmark sniper tower, and we have another named POI, but we'll get to that towards the end of the video, because you know we want to save all the new stuff for the end. Alright, we have our Slap representative POI for Chapter 2 Season 2. This is Slappy Sight. Slappy Sight is one of my favorite POIs I've ever made, I'm gonna be honest. I really love the aesthetic, I love the color, it's so vibrant, you know. It's really cool, got unique architecture, like what mini BR do you think would have this as a building, you know? I like it. Also got this building. So I'm gonna reveal something that I don't think I've ever actually revealed before. These buildings were kind of like scrapped together through like an unused map that I made. It was a slap factory in like a jungle free-for-all map that I was making. I never really used it for anything, but I was like, you know, I have this idea because I want to make like a business themed season. And I was like, how could I incorporate this? And I was like, Slap Juice and Slurp Juice are Fortnite businesses, so why not have a season where they're like going against each other, you know? So I was like, that's a pretty good idea. And so I stole a bunch of these assets that I made because I already had them done, and it would just save a lot of time. And yeah, the rest is history. And this is now one of my favorite POIs, which is pretty cool. You know, maybe I'll release that map. You know, if you guys have enough interest in it, I'll release it. I'll actually finish it and make it fun to play. All right, we have. I think this will be our final non-biome specific landmark of the video. This is the bridge. Now this is a remix version of the road from Wotts Royale Chapter 2 Season 1, and the road was basically just like a long path with a bunch of chests. The bridge was kind of the same idea. There's less chests on it now, more balanced, like more landmarky, and there were slurp trucks, but storage reasons I had to get rid of them. I did free up some more storage though, so maybe they'll make a comeback. I'll probably introduce them again next season, to be honest. But you know, who knows? Who really knows? This is Ripsaw Ridge. This is a Chapter 2 Season 4 addition to the Wotts Royale map. And, you know, it was a mid-season map change. That whole season was Apocalypse themed. I know it's crazy because the current Fortnite season is also Apocalypse themed, but I did it first, so, you know. Take that, Fortnite. I know you totally weren't developing that, like, 6 months ago, like, before I even started mine. But, you know, whatever. It's cool. You know, whatever. But this is a mid-season edition. It was originally just this building right here. It was a Ripsaw Hut mini POI landmark, I should say. I don't know why I said mini POI. But you could find these Ripsaw launchers here. And, you know, they weren't the only way you can get them. They were in chests sometimes, but they were the only way you could get them for a while. And they still are. They're still like that. However, they were in chests when they were first added. Not anymore, though. Sometimes I'll add them back, sometimes I won't. Kind of just depends on the whole vibe of the season, like if it depends on it or not, you know? Now over here we have our final non-biome specific named POI of the video. This is the Junkyard. Now the Junkyard is a last minute Chapter 2 Season 2 edition. I really just kind of made it because of like thinking of new mechanics. I was like dumpster diving, where you could like search a dumpster and it gives you like exclusive loot. And then I was like, you know, there's an empty space right here. Why not put a named POI here? So I did that. And this was the result. And this was, I think this was only made like a few days before the season actually came out, so yeah, it was very last minute. I do really like this POI a lot. I don't think it's aged the best. I definitely think I would probably want to make this a named POI if I was making it now. But I like it, and who knows, maybe there'll be some updates to the named POI next season. Who knows? Who really knows? Right, we have our first POI of the desert biome. This is Rickety Refuge. Now, Rickety Refuge is a really cool POI in my opinion. This was like the first like new POI I developed for Chapter 2 Season 4. And I definitely think it's like a peak for Chapter 2 Season 4. There's another POI that comes kind of close to it, which is over there, which we'll get to in a second. But this, I definitely think, is my favorite. I love the way it looks. I love the way it kind of like plays. It's very cramped. It's very like closed together, you know? I think it's very cool. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you break into this room, there's a little Easter egg. Yeah. Wonder what these guys are doing in here. I think we'll leave them to do their business, you know. But yeah, this POI did receive a little bit of change, where this RV, I guess, camper, I guess you could say, where this camper sits, there used to be a vault here, and the vault was removed because I basically reworked how they worked. So last season, what you would do to search a vault is you would come over to the capture point for a POI if it had a vault, and once you search the capture point, you would get a key card, and then you would bring it over to the vault, and you know, you'd open it and you can like go in. There's some chests in there, and there was a item granter that would grant one random mythic, and you had to purchase it for a bit of gold. That has been changed. We'll get to it because there's only one vault on the map now, and it's in that general area. We'll get to it near the end of the video, so you should definitely stick around to see that. But yeah, changed how vaults work. This was the first season I actually did vaults, so you know, obviously I wanted to change it up a bit because I just didn't really vibe with how I did it over there. So yeah, you know, sometimes changes happen, you know. We also have a landmark over here, which is known as Starry Oasis. Nothing too crazy. It's just like a little oasis kind of area, you know, body of water. Some palm trees around, which they still haven't fixed, by the way. These palm trees are still kind of broken. So I might update this again because the trees are kind of low poly anyways. I don't know what happened to them, but you know, it's kind of weird. All right, over here we have possibly my second favorite Chapter 2 Season 4 edition. This is Container Corner. So Container Corner, you know, it's a pretty cool POI. The whole gimmick of this was POI, but none of the buildings are built structures, like grid structures. And, you know, it kind of fit perfectly because, you know, the whole Borderlands aesthetic is basically apocalyptic, you know, and that was the theme of the season, you know. Not gonna say I did it first or anything, but, you know, I did it first. And, yeah, so, you know, you got some nice little containers, you know, you can go inside them, and, you know, there's some chests in here. This is a very packed area. There's a lot of chests in this area, especially given how small it is. There also used to be a vault in this POI around this area. It did get removed, however, because of the vault rework. And also, it's not a new POI anymore. It's actually a few months old now. So, you know, this was added around February, and it is now end of May. It's almost June, which is crazy. Which means Season 5 is about halfway done already, which is kind of crazy. But there is a reason I'm making this video so early in the season, which, you know, there might be some big changes in the latter half, you know, who knows. I believe this is our final landmark for the desert. This is Trashy Campers. Trashy Campers is a reworked version of the named POI Trashy Travels from Wotts Royale Chapter 1, my apologies. Chapter 1, Season 7. Oops. So basically, Trashy Travels was a kind of flooded themed POI. It was like a bunch of like trash floating in the middle of the island, and on it was this building. You know, this building has remained unchanged. The only difference is that the chests look a bit different, and they're kind of placed differently. But, you know, changes had to be made in some spots. you know. Changes were made, dumpsters were added, you know, and a little campsite was added too, because campers, I needed something to differentiate it. But, yeah, I like the landmark. Not a lot going on here, but, you know, it's chill, it's cool, it's very neat. I like it. Our next named POI is Fallout Farm. And now, Fallout Farm, you know, it's obvious. It's a farm, you know. Nothing crazy, you know. You got the big old barn and, like, I don't really know you'd call this, like, a shed building. It's kind of big for a shed, but, you know, you can never have a big enough shed, you know. You know. Oh, we also have these pits. Not pits, pens with a bunch of dead llamas on them. I wish there were, like, these llama skeletons without, like, the weird little cooking thing, like, sticks. I wish that was a thing, but they're not, unfortunately. I do like this little touch, but, you know, it would have been nice if the llamas existed on their own. There's a bunch of corn in this area, you know, good for hiding. And the barn is pretty big, too. You know, come up here. There's multiple layers to this. It's definitely a unique gameplay dynamic in this area, I will say. And I actually lied. That was not our last landmark of the video. This is Tourist Trap. Alright, so Tourist Trap, you know, it's pretty obvious. There's some RVs here, with a little, you know, monument, I guess. There's a chest. It's not a great drop spot, but it's a nice little landmark, you know, kind of help liven the place up, you know. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. So our next named POI is Frantic Films. Now, this POI has grown on me a bit, I will say. It was originally kind of like a rushed POI. I don't want to say rushed. But it wasn't one of my favorites, you know. I didn't really have an idea for what to put in this area, and I felt like it kind of needed something over here. So I built this. You know, the inspiration between other, like, Fortnite POIs is crazy. You know, you got, like, that one little, like, hut, or, like, shack, or depot warehouse thing over by, like, Junction from Chapter 1 of Fortnite. Like, inspiration over here. And then over, you know, for the rest of the POI, it's kind of like Moisty Mire, like, late Moisty Mire kind of vibes. Like, all the film stuff. I mean, that's obvious. It's got all the green screens and everything, you know. But yeah, we also have a bunch of RVs parked, you know, because, you know, actors need their RVs, you know. And, yeah, I think it's really cool. I don't know why they're filming in a desert, to be honest, but, you know, who cares? It's a cool POI. I like it. Alright, our final Chapter 2 Season 4 desert POI is Carved Crumbles. So Carved Crumbles has a bunch of ruins, sandstone ruins specifically, I'll call them. And this was a last-minute addition, too. This was very last-minute. And it's kind of weird considering this POI is pretty big, actually. You know, not thinking of it. I didn't really think this POI is that big, but looking at it now, it's fairly big. It's a bunch of, like, sandstone ruins, you know. Not a lot of stuff going on here. It's an empty space, but it's kind of the vibe I was trying to give off, considering it's like, ruined, ravaged, you know, whatever you want to say. Other than that, nothing too crazy going on here. Last minute addition, like I said. I just had empty space and I didn't know what to do with it, so Carved Crumbles came, you know? I don't really love the name, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I could have done better with this name, but, you know, what can you do now? Alright, moving on to the only Chapter 2 Season 1 desert POI to remain after the desert update. This is Boundary Borderlands. So Boundary Borderlands was originally a POI in my map, my earlier mini BR map that I made that I never released. It didn't look exactly like this, I'm gonna be honest. That one was entirely just prefabs. But, you know, I tried to, you know, build with this one, you know. I didn't want this to be entirely prefabs, because, you know, I had evolved at that point, you know. I was getting past the prefabs still, but I wasn't fully confident in my ability to build custom structures yet, so. It was Chapter Season 1, okay? Give me some slack. It was early on. It was early on in this map. But I like this POI. It has a lot of history for me, and it's very nostalgic. And I didn't want to get rid of it, because I really like this POI. So I kept it around, you know. And, yeah, I love the aesthetic. It fit, like, the Apocalypse vibe very well. And this also had a vault in Chapter 2 Season 4 around here, but obviously got removed, considering the vault rework, and it's no longer relevant. That's not the right word. It's no longer vault relevant, you know? You know, it's not a desert-themed season anymore, so removed it. But yeah, that was our final POI, and that was our final POI. That was our final POI we had to get through before we can get to the jungle. So I'm going to start touring the jungle. I think it's only fitting to start at the named POI. It's a remix of a really old named POI in Wotts Royale history, and this is Sunny Stage. And I think the inspiration is pretty obvious. It's Sunny Steps kind of inspired. You know, that's where the name comes from. That's where like the pieces come from. But the stage part comes from the stage POI. The stage was added during Chapter 1 Season 3, came back during Chapter 2 Season 3, was turned into Sandy Stage in Chapter 2 Season 4, which was also in Chapter 1 Season 4. But now, Chapter 2 Season 5 being a jungle, introduced Sunny Stage. And I promise it's not going to change again, at least for a while. I don't think I'm planning on changing it again. But I think this is the best stage POI I've had yet. Sandy Stage used to be my favorite stage POI, but it's just a bunch of rubble, and it's an early POI. It was an early POI, so it hasn't evolved all too greatly. But Sunny Stage, it's a modern take on a classic POI, and I think that's what, you know, ultimately benefits it here. It's not held back by my terrible Chapter 1, early Chapter 2 building, like POI building kind of aesthetic. It's really strong looking, you know. It's got that touch of nostalgia that I want, you know, the stage with the classic little, like, reindeer, like, Rudolph nose, you know? Because it was a Christmas POI, you know? It was originally for a Christmas concert. That event you can actually watch on YouTube still. Both the Wotts Royale events, the concert and the end event, are on YouTube. But yeah, you come in here, there's some statues. You can, like, go around, and you can, like, sit at these tables, these cool-looking tables. And then, you know, same thing goes for over here. You know, you come around here, there's some statues around. You go up here, you can sit at these cool-looking tables. Or you can go in here and not really do anything. But, you know, it's up to you, it's up to you. And you can come over here, and this is where, like, someone entering here would want to come in. Because you want to come in through here, and they make sure to check you out over there, you know, so you're not, like, bringing anything you're not supposed to in. And then you come over here and then, like, sit on these stairs, you know? Kind of like the good old days of, like, 800 BC, you know? In the back of these seats, you have an entrance to an area to get food, you know? Come over here, you can also get these slat barrels, you know, heal up very effectively and destroy half the, you know, cooking utensils or utility items in here. Just a few chests, but not too many. So, you know, this POI is definitely more aesthetics based, but, you know, I like it. It's pretty cool, you know? It's definitely a solid contender for favorite POI. I don't think it's there, though. I think it's close, but not, like, there, you know? Over here, we have our first landmark of the jungle biome. This is Camp Omega. I have a few of these camps around the map, and, you know, it's like a basic, like, military base, you know? At the hangar, you got this building, you know? Nothing too crazy. You also got, like, a watchtower, you know? Nothing crazy, but, you know, needed some landmarks to spice it up a little bit, you know? So over here, we have our first fully original POI of the jungle biome. This is Covert Campsite. So this is obviously meant to be, like, a campsite, you know, it's in the name. But, yeah, you know, it's got, like, this rustic, like, wooden, like, aesthetic, you know? Coming around here, you got some chests, and I just got a gold primal SMG. I'll take that, thank you very much. You know, you obviously come around, you know, it's nothing too crazy. But there's some cool, like, beds in here, some cool, like, seats in here, tables, you know. It's pretty nicely furnished. There's a capture point right here in the middle, like, right underneath the watchtower. And, you know, we can go up this watchtower and, yeah, get, like, ultimate high ground of the POI. It's not the highest point in the jungle biome, as you can see. We'll get to that over there in a second. But there's also a top area where you can get some loot, so you can land straight on here. Oh, I think that's kind of hard to do, you know, given that you just start floating, like, over there, you know? But, you know, it's a cool POI, I like it. It is kind of hard to land here because the zone doesn't pull here. The zone pulls more towards over here, and we'll get to that in a second. Or a few minutes for you guys, but quite a bit for me. We'll get to it. We'll get to it, you know? We'll get to it. Alright, so our next named POI is Floating Fortress. So, Floating Fortress was originally Fountain Fortress, you know? Whole water aesthetic. Water's completely gone. It's completely dried up. There are still these, like, spheres around, but, you know, they barely count, you know? This is the Shrine building. I have established that I like this building quite a bit, but it might not stay for much longer. Ooh, who knows? We'll get to that in a second. Got some SUVs parked out here. We also have the prison building from before. You know, before the whole incident. You know, so this is pretty cool. It's the same as it's always been. And then we have the outpost building with tower building. You know, nothing crazy. But now we have this giant floating island. And, you know, it's got some lore implications. So let's just get up there real quick. So, floating fortress. This is obviously the fortress. And so, you know, we got these Octobots around, and we'll get to the Octobots kind of later. I'll kind of explain what's going on here, like, story-wise, you know. I'll start explaining it now, actually. So, this was originally Fountain Fortress, and Fountain Fortress originally wasn't meant to be, like, too important or anything. It was just a space filler, given that this building is just a prefab, and I don't know what to do with it, and I wasn't really good at building creative buildings back then. So it was just a slightly edited prefab because this part's not in here, but, you know, whatever, who cares, but, you know, I thought, you know, so what's going on with this POI lore-wise? So, basically, these Octobots, which are made by Centurion, which wasn't actually known until, last week, I think, as the time of recording this last week, these Octobots were made by Centurion to kind of, like, lift this, like, whole chunk of land out, because these guys are powered on water. It just made sense. This is like the home base of like water because it's Fountain Fortress, you know. So they lifted this out of the ground, right? And what Centurion's doing is, if you remember, the point of existence, which was a fairly important part of Wotts Royale Chapter 1 lore, and it's totally not just a ripoff of the 0 point at all, you know, whatsoever. These guys were made to use this chunk of landmass to get to the point of existence, which is somewhere in this general area, you know? You know, somewhere on this screen right now. You know, it's not very, explainative. I don't think that's a word, but we'll go with it. But, you know, it's somewhere on my screen right now, you know? It'll be revealed, like, probably next week. I didn't even know I was capturing that. Probably next week or the week after. Something like that. But yeah, it'll be revealed, and yeah, he's trying to get the point of existence, and all of it will be revealed probably next season, probably, you know, just saying. But other than that, this is just a boring little building that I wanted to do something with and thought was cool. So yeah, that's what this is. We have another one of these camps. This is Camp Alpha. Nothing too special. It's actually the smallest camp buildings, like camp landmark I've made. Nothing too crazy, just more of the same, you know. Alright, our next new named POI is Rowdy Resort. So Rowdy Resort is pretty obviously a bunch of, like, resorts and, like, just, like, away homes, you know? Like, people come over here, rent these, and just kind of live here for the experience, you know? They don't actually live in these houses. They're just here to have a good time. Rich people probably go here a lot, you know? If there are rich people on the Wotts Royale Island for some reason, you know? They are just pretty open houses, you know. Got some minimalist design. Got the bathroom. Got the bedroom. Got the balcony. Oh my god. That's crazy. But yeah, nothing too crazy. This building, I'd say, probably the main building. You come around here, you got the DJ set up. This part was actually in the trailer for a few seconds, you know. Which is pretty cool. I will not lie. Ooh, slapberries. We added those last week. Pretty cool. Yeah, this map gets pretty constant updates, so want something refreshing, you know, come here for bored of regular Battle Royale, you know. Although the current season's pretty cool. So, you know, I'm just saying. Rowdy Resort, it's honestly probably in the lower rankings of my Chapter 3 Season 5 POIs, if I'm being fully honest. But, you know, it's not bad. I like it. It's not bad. I like it. Put a lot of time into this one. I think this one actually took me the most time outside of the main POI. But, you know, we'll get to the main POI in a little while. Let's have another landmark. This is the Flopper's Shrine. And this isn't too big of a landmark, per se. But, as you can see, there's something very important here. This is a mythic goldfish. And so around the map, there are these shrines. You know, they're nothing too special. They're just shrines, but the way these shrines work is that there's a random mythic here. Well, not random. There's a mythic here that's guaranteed every game. That's you kind of guess by the name. But, you know, it's pretty cool to, like, you know, see around the map. It's pretty neat. I like it. It's cool. It's just something to fill up some space, you know, provide a little bit of unique gameplay. And there's only one mythic goldfish, so, you know, can't really complain. Alright, now we have Bombastic Base. Kind of the same aesthetic as camps. These are more like labs, you know, research areas. And they may be lore relevant, who knows. You'll see why that's the case in a second. But, you know, I like it. It's cool. I'd probably also say this is a lower ranking new POI for Chapter 2 Season 5. It's very samey, very level. Like, these are all the same level. The only reason I didn't want to use, like, the roof pieces, because these are from the Frosty Flights galleries, like, these pieces. The only reason I didn't want to use those is because, when I was building this, the pieces were invisible and just didn't show up. Which, you know, kind of sucked when I was making a POI with these, and I already kind of, like, got most of it done, and I just needed a roof piece, and I was like, oh, that would be cool. And then they said, no, we're gonna be invisible. You know, I was kind of like, thanks a lot, Fortnite. I love Fortnite, you know, that's crazy. So, yeah, just had to go with some basic roof pieces, because I was not trying to use some, like, mismatched colors, you know? Just not trying to do it. There is some pretty big buildings, like this one, for example, is pretty big. Got, like, more of these, I don't know what these are. I think they're, like, oxygen tanks or something. They have something in there. Some more of those in here. Got, like, a control panel. You know, got some science stuff, you know. Science rules, you know. And, you know, we also have a hangar, you know. Most of these places have hangars. This one actually has card this time, which we can actually take to go to our next POI. Our next POI, I do not want it to be marked, thank you very much. Our next POI is Totaled Temples. Now, Totaled Temples is fairly obviously ruins of, like, a long-forgotten civilization, you know. It's nothing crazy, it's not meant to be the main attraction, but I couldn't do a jungle season without doing, like, something like this, you know. It's kind of like in, like, the rulebooks. If you do something jungle related, you gotta have a temple POI, you know? It's just undisputed. So, yeah. This POI also serves as a shrine POI. So you come here, you get a mythic Spire jump boots. And, yeah. They're not great, but, you know, they're pretty cool, and they're not a broken mythic, so, you know, yeah, I can just put them here. There's also a lower section. And I have this really, like, a cool obsession with these statues. Like, having them stick out of buildings and stuff. It's pretty cool, you know? They're in, like, every single building. It's kind of crazy. Alright, this is our newest named POI. This is Octobot Outpost. Now, Octobot Outpost is another, two-layered POI. This used to be Camp, I think Beta, if I'm thinking correctly. I think it was Beta. Camp Beta, and it was just these three buildings. But now, it's a bunch of, like, these futuristic buildings over here. Like these neon lights and stuff. Anvil rocket launchers are in the game. Those are the only explosive in this current season, fun fact. Given that there are a bunch of vehicles around, you know? Yeah. It's kind of like all this, like, futuristic stuff going on, you know? Which makes sense when you learn who these are being run by. But we also have this building. Now you come up here, you know, it's pretty normal at first. It's just some stairs, you know. You go up some stairs, you know, you can search some chests on your way there, you know. But yeah, you just keep coming up here, and going up, 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 and going up. I forgot how big this was. A few more, I think. Going up. Going up. And we reach the top. And then you come around over here, and yeah, as you can see, pretty cool looking stuff. We'll just get off here. We got another watchtower. We got another, like, futuristic building. We got another futuristic building over here. I don't really know if I would say they were futuristic, but that's kind of what they are. Not really, though. But, you know, they use Neo tilted parts, so, you know, I guess they're futuristic. We also have the namesake of the POI, the biggest Octobot, which I'm just now realizing has some really weird texturing here. We could blame Rocket Racing for that. I don't really know. Ooh, Purple Pump, I will take. Shotgun Red of the season is pretty strong, not gonna lie. But yeah, this is like the main Octobot, and you know, it's kind of like the biggest one, the main guy. Considering all the other ones are busy doing that, who knows why this guy's here? But you know, we'll see. We'll see in the upcoming weeks. You know, we will see. Now, what we have here is our final landmark before we get into our final named POI. This is Rifle Shrine. This was added just last week as I'm recording this, and it's another Shrine POI. This time with a Primal AR. I'm just now realizing that the Mythic one's called the Primal Assault Rifle and the normal one's called Primal Rifles. I don't know why. Ask Fortnite about that. I didn't choose. And now we can get to our final named POI. And I know what you're saying. This doesn't look like a very good named POI. It's just 4 watchtowers. And that's where I'll say, I mean, that would be right. If there wasn't all of this stuff down here. I know, pretty cool, pretty cool. This is our first, like, henchman boss. And this is Centurion's Chamber. And this is, as I said, first, you know, POI with henchman boss. And he's the only henchman actually here because he's quite strong. So, as you can see, this is Centurion down here. And this is the main villain, or main antagonist of Wotts Royale Chapter 1. And we'll see if he remains a protagonist, or antagonist, I mean. But yeah, let's go down there and fight him. And just like that, we defeated him. Now, let's see what he drops. Ooh, a mythic drum shotgun. Ooh, a mythic thermal assault rifle. Isn't that so sick? And a key card. Isn't that insane? That's like absolutely crazy. So, this key card can be taken over to this vault. And as we go in here, we can see so many chests. Like, it's actually unbelievable how many chests there are in this area. It's actually kind of crazy. But we can search them because I kind of need some meds for our next feature of this PY. So, yeah, let's do that real quick. Let's med up. Alright, now that I'm fully healed up, we can go into our first cool part of this area. So, the name of the PY is Centurion's Chambers. And you might be wondering why that is. Well, that's because there are chambers. And what do these chambers do? Well, you have to complete each chamber for a unique mythic. And I'm just going to show you that real quick. So, the Chamber of Endurance. Pretty obvious. You go in here, and you gotta swim around through this maze. And this is why I need to be fully healed up, because you are going to start drowning, and you need to make sure you have good enough health. Because it starts ticking real fast. But we made it to the end, and as you can see, Mythic Grappler. My backpack is full. There we go. I don't need these stupid little boots anyways. But now I got a Grappler, and it's a lot easier, but you still have to make it out again. And as you can see, just like that, we've made it out of the Chamber of Endurance. Only losing around 70 HP, but I have also done that like so many times while testing. And yeah, we got this cool Grappler. Now the Chamber of Parkour. Now you might think this is really easy considering I just got a Mythic Grappler. We go in here. Cannot build. Can't shoot. You have to do the parkour. And cool little fun fact, this is actually made out of a bunch of Slurp City or Slurp Scrapers props, which was the PY PR before Centurion's Chamber. Little fun fact for you. So we just gotta do this parkour. You know, pretty cool parkour. Pretty easy, actually, because I've done this 1,000 times. But you get a Mythic Heavy Assault Rifle for doing that. So, that's pretty cool. And now our final chamber is quite far away. So let me just go over to that area right now. This is the Chamber of Knowledge, and also, hey, look at that. It's a pretty cool building from Slurp City. Isn't that cool? So we have the Chamber of Knowledge. And you can't shoot in here or build in here, too, because you can't destroy this. This is the console. And, you know, don't want people shooting you while you're doing this. So you gotta start the Chamber of Knowledge right here. Chamber of Knowledge. The chamber. I misspelled that and I didn't even know. This chamber tests your knowledge of your current location. How well do you know Centurion's chambers? Answer every question right to get the mythic mechanical explosive bow. Fun fact, no snipers this season, only bows. Pretty cool, right? Alright, question 1. Which mythic do you get from the Chamber of Parkour? Well, we just did that one. And was it the drum shotgun, or was it the heavy assault rifle? I think it was the heavy assault rifle, personally. Yep. Question number 2. Which mythic do you get from the Chamber of Endurance? Well, we also just did that one, and we saw that we couldn't really use our mythic during the Chamber of Parkour. So, was it the Grappler, or was it the Thermal Scoped AR? I think it was the Grappler. And question 3. Which mythic do you get from defeating Centurion? Well, we have the drum shotgun right now, but we don't have the mechanical explosive bow. And it said that was what this one would give you. So drum shotgun. And look at that! We just got ourselves a mechanical explosive bow. And I'm not going to take this because it's worse than everything in my loadout. But, free mythic, you know. Just saying, pretty cool mythic. And I actually forgot one thing before we leave off this video and I stop lagging. Please stop lagging me, Fortnite. That'd be great. The Art Deco bank jewelry store building, you know, has remained, and every season, this building has a unique legendary item in there. So, we could break this glass to get to it, because it's kind of encased now, because, you know, Centurion just loves this building so much. And, you know, we can see what the unique legendary item is. And is that what I think that is? Could that be an airstrike? Yep, you get an airstrike. And I don't know if that's going to go above the ground, or... I think that went above the ground. So yeah, don't use that while you're in this POI, because it is not going to work out for you. But, you know, you use that anywhere else, you know, pretty cool. Airstrike, you know, one airstrike on the entire map. I think it's fairly balanced. You know, history was a boom bow, then it was a slurp juice, then it was a jetpack, then it was a shockwave launcher, and then it was an airstrike. And yeah, that's Wotts Royale Chapter Season 5 map toured for you. You know? Pretty cool, right?
Alright. I say,